The silence before the storm. For weeks, whispers had been circulating throughout the K-pop community. Fans speculated, reporters waited, and social media was flooded with questions. Why had Kim Taehyung, BTS's V, remained so quiet after months of low activity? Then, on a calm October evening, everything changed. In a heartfelt video interview released through HYBE's official YouTube channel, Taehyung finally sat down for what fans described as one of the most honest and emotional conversations of his career. Dressed simply in a white shirt, his tone was quiet, sincere, but every word carried the weight of years. The topic soon shifted to his longtime bandmate, Jungkook. What Taehyung revealed next would silence millions. "I've been holding back a lot. There's something about Jungkook I've never said publicly. And maybe it's time." Those words were enough to send the internet into chaos. Within minutes, #TaeHyungConfession trended worldwide. The bond forged in shadows. Taehyung's confession, as he called it, wasn't about scandal or gossip. Instead, it was about truth, about the unseen moments that shaped BTS behind the glamour. He described the years they spent as trainees, sleepless nights, shared meals, and the silent understanding that kept them going when others doubted them. Jungkook, being the youngest, often carried expectations that were nearly impossible to meet. People always saw Jungkook as the golden maknae, but they didn't see how hard he worked or how hard he was on himself. There were times I worried about him more than I did about myself. For the first time, Taehyung admitted that during their early debut days, he and Jungkook often clashed, not out of dislike, but out of pressure. Their personalities were different, yet somehow their bond kept deepening through every storm. When fame became a cage. As BTS reached global fame, the world saw perfection, but Taehyung revealed that the higher they climbed, the heavier the burden became. "We were living a dream, but sometimes that dream felt like a cage." He described nights when he and Jungkook would sit in silence after concerts, just watching city lights through the hotel window, saying nothing but understanding everything. We didn't need to speak. Sometimes silence said more than words ever could. Fans were moved by how raw his voice sounded. This wasn't an idol speaking for PR. It was a friend remembering the scars that fame left behind. The moment that changed everything. Taehyung recalled a particular night in 2018, the year BTS performed at the Billboard Music Awards for the first time. After the show, he found Jungkook alone backstage, sitting quietly with his head down. He was frustrated, Taehyung shared. Even though we had just made history, he felt like he hadn't done enough. That moment hit me. I realized how much pressure he carried. Instead of offering advice, Taehyung sat beside him. They said nothing for almost half an hour. It became one of the most defining moments of their friendship. That silence was my confession. I didn't need to say, "I understand." He already knew. When distance grew. As years went on, schedules, solo projects, and military service slowly created distance between the members. Fans noticed the lack of interactions between Taehyung and Jungkook and speculated endlessly. Now, Taehyung finally addressed it. "People thought we drifted apart. Maybe we did for a while. Not because of conflict, but because we were both trying to find ourselves." He described how Jungkook's solo era made him proud beyond words. "I saw him taking control of his art, his identity, and I thought, that's the Jungkook I always knew was there." His eyes glistened as he spoke. Sometimes growing apart is part of growing up. The confession. Then came the shocking confession, not a revelation of drama, but of truth. "I used to be jealous of Jungkook. He had this energy, this light that everyone noticed, and I wondered if I could ever shine like that." The honesty stunned fans. It was rare for idols, especially someone of Taehyung's stature, to admit to envy and insecurity so openly. But then I realized, Jungkook's light didn't take mine away. It made me want to become better. Those words echoed across fan communities. What had begun as a potential controversy turned into one of the most powerful statements about friendship, growth, and mutual respect in K-pop history. The letter that never reached Jungkook. TAEHYUNG revealed that during their military service hiatus, he wrote a letter to Jungkook, but never sent it. It wasn't about anything serious, he smiled. I just wanted to say thank you. But every time I tried to write it, I got emotional. Maybe one day I'll give it to him. The confession of that unsent letter made fans emotional. Social media flooded with messages like, "This is real brotherhood," and "Taekook's bond is beyond words." He added softly, "We're still learning how to express things. Maybe that's what friendship really is, saying what matters even when you can't find the words." Jungkook's response. The next day, Jungkook went live on Weverse to address Taehyung's words. Though he didn't say much,
I don't know why this shit got me lazy right now.
He doesn't need to send the letter. I already got it, in my own way. That one line was enough to melt hearts. Fans described it as one of the most beautiful demonstrations of unspoken understanding in BTS history. The live ended with Jungkook softly humming Friends, the song written by Jimin, a track that suddenly took on new meaning. The world listened. Major news outlets across Korea and abroad picked up the story. Headlines read, "Taehyung opens up about BTS pressure and brotherhood." These emotional confession on Jungkook sends fans into tears. A lesson in humility, Taehyung's honesty redefines K-pop stardom. Music critics praised the interview as a, quote, rare window into the emotional maturity behind BTS's success. Psychologists even noted how Taehyung's words resonated with young fans dealing with comparison and self-doubt. The world had expected drama, but what it got instead was healing. Part 10. The meaning of silence. The meaning of silence. In the final minutes of the interview, Taehyung looked up, his eyes gentle but strong. I don't think people need to know every detail about our friendship. Some things are meant to stay between us. But I hope they know. It's real. He ended with a message that felt like both a farewell and a promise. Jungkook and I grew together, stumbled together, and became who we are because of each other. That's the truth I wanted to say. When the camera stopped rolling, the internet remained silent, not out of shock, but out of awe. For once, a quote, confession wasn't about secrets. It was about sincerity. The K-pop world, so used to noise and rumors, was left in a rare, beautiful silence, one filled with respect. The ripple effect. The days following Taehyung's interview felt like a wave washing through the entertainment world. Social media was filled not only with fan reactions, but also with heartfelt responses from artists, producers, and even international musicians who had worked with BTS. American singer Halsey reposted a clip from the interview with the caption, "This is what real friendship looks like. Respect and vulnerability in the spotlight. That's rare." Several Korean idols also shared subtle messages of support. A member of 17 mentioned during a live stream, "It takes courage to say what Taehyung said. Sometimes people forget idols are human too." Meanwhile, fans began organizing what they called the Light Project, a global online campaign encouraging people to write thank you letters to their friends or loved ones, inspired by Taehyung's unsent letter to Jungkook. Within 48 hours, the hashtag #LetterToMyFriend reached 12 million posts worldwide. Journalists noted that few interviews in recent memory had sparked such a genuine emotional movement. Taehyung hadn't just confessed, he'd reminded the world how powerful honesty could be. Behind closed doors. A week later, Taehyung was seen leaving HYBE's building late at night. He wore a mask and cap, but cameras still caught the soft smile on his face. When reporters asked if he had spoken to Jungkook since the interview, he paused briefly and said, "We talked. Everything's good. It always was." That short answer carried volumes. Insiders revealed that Taehyung and Jungkook had met privately for dinner a few days earlier. According to a source close to the group, their conversation was quiet, warm, and full of laughter. No cameras, no fanfare, just two brothers catching up on life. Later, Jungkook posted a photo on his Instagram story, a blurred image of two coffee cups on a table with the caption, "Nothing changed." Fans instantly knew what it meant. The comment sections filled with hearts and crying emojis. One fan wrote, "They didn't need to say much. The bond speaks for itself." As the post circulated, it was clear. This was the closure, or rather, the continuation that everyone had hoped for. The confession that changed K-pop. Months later, long after the headlines had faded, Taehyung's confession continued to echo across the industry. Music academies used excerpts from the interview in lectures about authenticity and mental resilience. Young trainees in Seoul's practice rooms began quoting his words, "Sometimes silence says more than words ever could," as a reminder that vulnerability isn't weakness. When BTS eventually reunited for a group broadcast after their military service, fans noticed the small gestures, the side glances, the laughter, and the comfort that only comes from shared history. During the live stream, Jungkook playfully nudged Taehyung and said, "So, did you finally send that lair?" Taehyung grinned. "I didn't have to. You were in every word I said that day." The other members clapped and laughed, but the moment felt sacred, a quiet, full-circle ending that fans around the world would remember for years to come. That night, the internet filled with one unified phrase: "True friendship doesn't need proof, only time." Taehyung's confession had started as a headline, but it ended as something far greater. A story of growth, gratitude, and grace, one that reminded millions why BTS's legacy was never just about music, but about humanity itself.